Welcome to the Strategic Thinkers Podcast. This has been such a wonderful series with such a lovely young lady, and I am excited because we're rounding everything off. We're taking all the insights and things that we've covered in the past episodes and bring it back around to making sure that you're able to take action. So, with that, I'm going to start with a promise. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how to learn from others' experiences without making every costly mistake yourself. You'll know who to surround yourself with during transitions and have clear next steps for your specific situation, whether you're being forced into change, considering it, or already in the middle of it. So, with that, Michelle, I want to say thank you so much for being here. Welcome. Yeah, I'm just going to say thank you in general. You've been very generous with your time, your insights, and just making sure that you make a difference. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so I want to start here. I'm going to wrap things up and kind of bring everything back
Mhm.
around by providing a summary. So far we've covered timing traps, pattern recognition, mindset shifts. Today we're talking about how to actually apply all of this. Learning from others without making every mistake ourselves, building the right community around us, which is really important, developing discernment to read your own situation, and knowing your right next steps. Michelle, one of my core beliefs is that not every lesson has to be learned the hard way or firsthand. You don't have to touch the hot stove if someone else is telling you that it's hot. You don't have to go through every expensive mistake in order to recognize the patterns. You've seen thousands over the past 15 years. So that's one of the places that I would love to be able to start. What are some of the things that you've been seeing over the past 10 to 15 years that can help someone shorten their customer journey or their business journey rather, and
Mhm.
start to find a point where it makes sense? I know you've already done it for me, so I'm giving other people the opportunity to be able to get the chance to be able to take advantage of it the same way.
Yeah. So, one of the things as a business owner,
Mm,
entrepreneur, you're not doing this alone. One, you weren't taught how to be a business owner, you were taught how to be an employee, right?
yes.
That's what you were taught. So we have to learn from other people's experiences because we weren't taught how to do this. And there are a lot of pitfalls that we fall into that we could avoid if we just simply have conversations with people who have walked this path before you. So no matter who that person is, typically is not someone that's in your family, especially especially in, our community is not
Mhm.
someone in our family. So then who is it? Who do you trust? So I would start with those people who have fidelity for you,
Mm,
meaning that your lawyers, your bankers, your accountants, people like that who care for you with your money and legality. And you can start there by gaining wisdom from them. I know those are paid, but also they're very valuable and because they've seen so many different types of businesses and business owners, they can give you a lot of insight only if you ask questions, right? It's not something they will probably freely give, but
mm.
if prompted, they will answer because, sometimes people don't want to know all that information.
Yeah.
And then there's the community around you. Like, who are the other entrepreneurs that you actually admire? You see their walk, you see what they're doing, but you don't know the inside scoop, right? So, starting those conversations, just having those conversations. If anybody approaches me to have a conversation like that, I will have the conversation with them because there are things that I have been through along my journey that can help you not make the same pitfalls. It really is easier to learn from somebody else's path than to go through it on your own. But you have to be vulnerable enough to ask, right? And a lot of times, what I see is that people just don't ask the question. Oh, I'm going to do it because making money is hard, but does it have to be? It's the
Right.
question I ask. Does it have to be? I don't think it has to be. It doesn't have to be a hustle. It doesn't have to be hard. But if you choose for it to be that way, absolutely it will be. Right? So just open yourself up and ask the question to see where the deeper conversation may go, because you will get a lot of insight, especially those who are really walking the path
Mhm.
and they are reaching back to pull up and to help someone else up. If you're asking them to do things for you, that's different.
Yes,
That's
it is.
consultative.
Yes, it is.
There's an exchange right there, right? But if you're talking in general, just to get some insight on what a journey has been like,
Mhm.
or a certain situation has been like, so that you can avoid those pitfalls. So, what I've seen over the last 10 or 15 years is people just, especially because I'm on the money side, people are just afraid to be vulnerable enough because they don't want other people to know
Mhm.
that they're having a hard time. But let me tell you, I have seen it all. Like, literally all. People who I have thought were on the mountaintop were
Mm.
drowning, but they make it seem like, and it looks like from socials, that everything is roses, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what I've seen over the last 10 or 15 years.
There's so much to unpack in that. Right off the cuff, I'm just thinking about all the aesthetically pleasing social posts that
Mhm,
are out there where people are like, "Let me show you how I did this, and let me show you how I did that," and it's missing so much context.
mhm,
Someone that can say, "Well, I'll show you how to make 6K in a month." It's
mhm,
missing the context of where your starting point has to be in
mhm,
order for them to be able to do that.
mhm.
There are the people that say those things and they say, "Well, I'm showing you how to be able to generate that much money," but they're not telling you how much of that you get to keep. So
True.
if they're showing you how to make 6K and it costs you $5,500 to be able to generate it, then
Exactly.
how much of that is actually profit at the end of the day?
Yes. Yes.
So that was one of the first things that stood out to me. The other thing that stood out to me is the thing that I probably run into the most, and that's where someone will come to you with their pie eye, just bushy tailed. They're very excited
Mhm.
about what they're doing, but they haven't necessarily locked in on the fact that there's a certain level of accountability and responsibility on their end. I think
Absolutely.
that's where the corporate mentality still hasn't
Mhm,
shifted over into the entrepreneurial mentality. On the corporate side, you can have all kind of great ideas and all the rest of that. You want to test them out. At the end of the day, if they don't go well, you still expect your check.
mhm.
You still expect
Exactly.
someone to come in and save the day, as opposed to on the entrepreneurial side. If someone reaches out to me, someone reaches out to you, someone reaches out to people in general, they have to, in a way, they have to have already started the process. They have to have put in the work, because that's when people are probably more willing to give away some of that information for free,
Mhm.
because they
Absolutely.
see the effort that you put in, as
Mhm.
opposed to someone. And this is where I run into some people that say, "Oh, well, I'm thinking about doing this." Thinking about doing it, or you already started doing it?
Exactly.
Because those are 2 different conversations. If you're thinking about doing it, then I have to change my conversation based on that. If you're
Mhm,
already doing it, then maybe I can fill in some of the missing pieces. But if you're at the point of just it being a concept or an idea, and you haven't actually built out a plan, or you're not in the opportunity phase of it where you've mapped everything out and now you just need someone to kind of fill in the blind spots,
mhm.
that's where I think there's some confusion, because they'll say, "Oh, well, I don't like to ask people, because when you ask them, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that." I think the disconnect in that is what people are asking of people, because I've
Yeah.
had some people come to me and say, "Well, here's what I want to do, this, that, and the other." I actually had a young lady tell me, "I don't like black people." I'm like, "I don't understand. Like, what are we doing here?" And her thing is, "Oh, well, you must not like your people, because I'm asking you to help me." And I said, what you're doing is you're coming to me with 20%, asking me to fill in the 80%.
Mhm.
And you don't want to pay, you don't want to do anything. I can't do that. What I can do is, if you came to me with 80% and you asked me to fill in the 20%, that I'm technically still not supposed to be doing that, but that would be more reasonable. And
Yes.
trying to explain that to her was I won't say trying, it was one of those things. Once she said that part, I was like, okay, we're having a different conversation. We're in different places. I'll explain it to you, but it's not going to be useful to you until you get to the next person, because clearly this is a lesson that you need to learn. So going back to us saying, there's some lessons that you have to learn firsthand and there's some that you have to learn other ways. I'm thankful that I'm old school enough to know I was in the industries and I got my lessons when it's a lot harder to be able to get into these industries and get these lessons. So whenever someone gave something to me, it was so valuable and so cherished that I didn't want to go back to them until I had done something with the information that they gave me. And that got me further and further into those conversations. They welcomed me back because they knew I was doing something with it. As opposed to these days where it's a little more entitled, where people feel like, you know what, you're supposed to give me that information. Like it's your obligation. And that's where I think accountability and responsibility have to kick back in. So my version is a little harsher. Yours is very flowers and candy. I appreciate that. I'm a little more like, yeah, I'm seeing it more on a regular basis. And it can be one of those things where like it's a red flag and I try to explain what the red flags and green flags look like. So at least just where they're aware of what it looks like and
Mhm.
that situational awareness can actually help them. Let's transition into coachable because that's part of what we're actually describing is someone that is not just looking for advice, but they're coachable when someone takes the time to be able to walk them through things. Because there are some people that they'll ask a question,
Mhm.
but what they're really looking for is validation. They're not looking for insights or gems or ways to be able to avoid some of the things they're going to inevitably run into.
Yeah, people, yeah, they do look for validation of their concept idea, but until you get into action,
Hmm.
we don't know what the difference is between your plan and what's actually happening. So you have to actually be taking action on the
Hmm.
plan so that we can identify what's working and what's not working. Because if it's still on paper, we don't know what it's just a concept. It's just a concept. So what are the things are you going to do to put it into action? The income producing activity action, that action, because it doesn't count until you make some money.
It does not. It does not. When you're very early stage, a lot of that is you're validating the idea.
Mhm.
You're showing that it's not just something that's a good idea, it's a good business
Yeah.
opportunity. There's a difference between an idea and an opportunity. An idea is something that looks good on paper. A
Mhm.
good business opportunity is something where you can show, "Oh, no, I've got people that are actually willing to pay me for it." Like, here's an example, here's an example, here's an
Yeah.
example. And they're not
You
just
have
one-offs, they're
results.
people willing to come back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so then you just, when you have results, then we can analyze like what happened to get those results
Mhm.
and where you can improve. Until you get to that step, we can't analyze it. You don't have enough data to help you make a decision about the next step.
Okay, so what makes someone coachable? Because we can talk about what coachability looks
Yes.
like, but what makes someone coachable?
What makes someone coachable is that they're willing to hear, what's going well and what's not going well, and then take direction. But then from the direction, what did you implement? Because the people that I coach, we don't always see eye to eye. Even with my own coaches that I have had, I didn't see eye to eye with the coach, even
Mhm.
though hindsight is 2020 and what they were telling me was absolutely correct, but I wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
And when you're not ready, you're going to second guess what that coach is saying. But also, being coachable is not being defensive, you know, going deeper, analyzing your own, what's holding you back. Like, what is it about what they're telling me is not resonating, not hitting me the right way? What is it? Is it something in me? So I check my own character, right? I check my own self first because they have the experience. That's where I aspire to be. So why am I second guessing them? Right. So then you have to, and that goes to the discernment piece.
Yes, it does.
When it goes internal, um, and you begin to analyze your own behaviors, your actions, it could be a value issue. It could be a number of things. And those things, when someone begins to do that, that makes them coachable to me.
That's
Mhm.
fair. Yeah. Yeah, coachable for me is readiness.
Mhm.
It's the willingness to look beyond their passion and focus on their purpose.
Mhm.
I know a lot of times because something is so close to them, it's almost like saying their baby's ugly. And how do you not get offended by something like that? So I get it. But at the same time, it's very much what you said. If you're going to someone that's further down the road than you are, and you're asking them, well, what's on this road? And they start telling you, and they're like, yeah, I mean, but that's not what I wanted to hear. It's like, okay, I mean, but these are the things that you actually need to know. The only pushback I give on that to myself, which goes back to what you were saying, is discernment. We also have to be aware of who we're asking and what their agenda is.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things where I look and say there are some people that are coaches and people that are part that have their own programs and things like that. And if their answers are based on recurring revenue, and that's when I go, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm going to listen for what I need to listen for, but I'm also looking for an exit. And if their answers don't show me somewhere where there's an exit in that, and it's just me continuing to be able to stay within that program, then I never get to grow beyond what limitations they put on me. So in those
Mhm.
situations, that's where I can say that's where discernment comes in for me. But I think those are also things that you pick up on. And it doesn't take long for you to be able to pick up on it. And then you can start to make the adjustments and everything from there. But yeah, I mean, there are some people that also know how to do things one way. And I think that's where I used to run into the biggest issue with some people because they would say, oh, well, here's how you do it. And I'm going, well, isn't there another way for you to be able to do that? Because that sounds like how you did it.
Yeah.
We're not the same person. So I need to figure out how I'm supposed to do it.
Mhm.
And then that's where the eye to eye didn't kick in. But overall, I think coachability for me is being able to listen to someone else's experiences and pull the pieces that apply to your life and allow you to be able to say, okay, well, I can't use everything, but I can definitely use that piece. And that's the conversation that I'm having with someone to say, well, I can tell you what I did. I can tell you all the things that I saw. Let's have a conversation about what parts fit you. And then once we identify what parts fit you and your surrounding circumstances, then we can actually have a conversation about how you can apply it. And that's why I love custom solutions as opposed to there's just one way to be able to do something because my way is not going to be everybody else's way. I'm weird. Like I don't mind going through the struggle because I know if I went through the struggle, when I get to the other side of that, oh, good luck trying to get me to go through the struggle again because I know all the bad parts of it. And I'm like, yeah,
Exactly.
no, 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 no. So it's a little bit different there. Let's talk about the isolation trap and why
Mhm.
community matters now more than ever because we are in this AI generation and we're in this
Mhm.
era where now everybody gets to be their own sort of expert. And there's a lot of opinions, just not always expert opinions. And you have to kind of cut through the noise to be able to find the things that make the most sense. There are a lot of people out there that have a lot of information, is trying to find the people that have your best interest at heart. So because we're in a time where there's just so much out there, there's also a lot of people that feel isolated. So we're in a time where a lot of people feel isolated, layoffs are happening across industries, careers are uncertain, business owners are struggling very much what you said. People are shamed in their own way of not wanting to be able to talk about finance. How hard is it to really be able to get people to have that conversation where you can get to the thing that they actually need help with? And then
Mhm.
how are you helping people be able to find the people that can actually help them?
Yeah. The one thing that I people don't really care about how much you know until they know about how much you care. They really don't. They don't care
Yeah.
about how much you know. I don't care you know that. What? I don't care. But do you care about me? And a lot of times it does take discernment. It does take talking to people to get to the place where, oh, you the real deal. Like
Mm,
to
mm,
figure out you're the real deal, because you care about me, not what I got, not what I'm about to get, but me and what I'm going through right now. So
mhm,
when you find that person through networking, through, just being out in communities to build your community, the person that really takes the time to speak to you and not card collecting when you're out networking. I hope
Mm.
I said that the right
I
way. Do
resonated with
you
me. I know exactly
get
what you're
what I'm
talking
saying?
about. Yes. Yes, I do.
Um, yeah, because sometimes people like, I do a lot of networking virtually and in person.
Mm.
And what I find is that there are people out there who are so isolated, right? And they show up at these events they and you can tell, like, I'm just out here, I'm just trying to sell my thing, I'm trying to sell my thing. But when you slow them down and you talk about who they are, not what they do,
Mhm.
then you can kind of discern, like, you can kind of start building community in that way. But people are very isolated and people want to word vomit on you about how much they know, and it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to participate in that. Maybe just ask a few right questions
Mhm.
and it'll kind of snap people out of that me mode and get to the heart of who they are.
Such a great point. Such a great point. I know doing a lot of networking sessions, I have to take my breaks from doing some of them because there's platforms that I use and they do like the 7 or 10 minute sessions.
Mhm,
And I realize I've gone through, if it could be a 7 minute session, and I'll have gone through 6 minutes of them talking about themselves.
mhm.
And then they go, "Oh, but tell me about you." And I'm like, at this point, you know,
Yeah,
it's clear
exactly,
you weren't concerned about what's going on with me. I can
exactly.
answer your question, but
Mhm.
let's finish talking about you. Like clearly
Yeah,
you had to get that off your chest. So the card collectors and stuff like that, yeah,
yeah.
I absolutely understand that. I want to circle back to what you said about people don't necessarily listen until they know you care.
Mhm,
I know that is a real part of what you do because from day one, I know from having conversations, the questions that you ask, the
mhm,
moments that you pause, and I know just from life, I'm 52. I've been around long enough to know when someone asks a question, whether they're listening long enough for me to be able to stop talking so that they can start talking, or if they're actually listening to be able to hear the answer. There's a significant difference. And I think what you've highlighted is that specific difference. I know I've just in walking or going to the supermarket or anything, I'll ask someone, "How you doing?" "Oh, yeah,
mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah." And I'll still be quiet and they'll pause and go, "Well, what's wrong with him?" And I was like, I was legitimately asking.
Yeah,
You gave me this fluff answer. No, seriously, like, how are you? My father always told me, he was like, you can learn from anyone and everyone in life. You just have to know what you're listening for. So I'm listening because I don't know what your experience is. I don't know what you've seen that I didn't see that I can actually learn from. And I think there are experts out there that have that mentality. And that mentality is what makes them not only good at their job, but it makes them even better because they're constantly learning and they're constantly evolving based on all the different things that they're picking up along the way. I think that's where some people care. Like, there are
yeah.
people that do what they do to make money, and there are people that do what they do because they enjoy what they do.
Mhm,
And those are some of the things to me that stand out. So when I'm looking at community, I'm looking at who I want to be able to spend that kind of time around. I mean, let's be honest. When we got on the call, first thing I said is, "Look at you. There's a light coming from you." There's a difference when you talk to someone. You're like, you know what? There's just good energy, and then there's the people where it's like you're just trying to get through the conversation. And I'm
yeah,
not going to drag it out more than I need to because this is a business transaction for you, as opposed to it being an actual moment where exchanging information, insights, or anything like that. So I think that part kind of kicks in. One of the other things that I would love to be able to talk about, because you've talked about this in the past, is that hand up. There are a
yes,
lot of people out here that have a scarcity mindset, so they don't want to help the next person. They're too busy worried about themselves and how they're going to come up. But you do have something where you have that hand up. If you know someone needs help and you're in a position to be able to help them, let's be circle back to it again. There's a difference between needing help, like insights, and then asking someone to actually step in and help.
mhm,
You need to be compensated for those things. But in general, you do stop and be able to make sure that you give someone the insights, the encouragement, and things that they need. I've been I've been blessed by it. What does it look like for you when everyone else is focused on scarcity and protecting what they have? Why is the hand up approach what actually creates more opportunities instead of depleting them?
because I truly believe that when your hand is closed, you are not able to receive, and when your hand is open, you are able to receive,
Mhm.
whether that's financially, whether that's wisdom, whether that's a friendship. It doesn't matter. When your hand is open, you are open to receive. And when it is closed off to all things. That's my difference. And my husband always says this, and it is so true. We are here, we are here to be a blessing to someone else. That's why we're here. I am
Yes.
blessed so that
Yes.
I can bless someone else, whether that's through my words, whether it's financially, whether it's through just giving them a hand up. Hey, sis, you going in the wrong direction. I
Mhm.
see it. This is what I see. Is this true for you? Now, let me tell you, if you do this, this, and this, you may get some different results. That's it. I'm not trying to tell people what to do, but I am offering them an opportunity to see it differently
Mm.
without accusing what they've already done, right?
That
Because
part
I
too.
don't want to accuse you for making bad decisions. No one ever wants to hear that they made a bad decision. Duh, we already know that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
already know we made a bad decision.
Yeah. Thanks
I
for
am
the
just
reminder.
offering
Yeah.
you, like, another path. This is what I see,
Mhm.
because sometimes you're just so close to whatever the situation is. It could be a personal situation, it could be a business situation. You are too close and you do not have objective eyes. And if I see her and I can say, "Sis, I see you.
Mhm.
I see you. I'm validating that I see you. And I see you doing X, Y, and Z, but maybe if you think about this, this, and that, you might get a different result." I'm not saying you got to do it, but you might get a different result. And it may be more in alignment with where you're trying to go.
About that.
Hmm.
How about that? Yeah, I think what you're describing, excuse me, not even think. I know what you're describing is the difference between directions and guidance.
Hmm.
There are some people that can make observations and
Hmm.
they don't come from a place of judgment. That's what I heard in what you said. Judgment is, oh, you're doing that all wrong. Or, it's just, it's got a tone attached to it that automatically makes someone get their back up. And then at that point, they're not listening, they're defending
Hmm. Hmm.
versus someone that's offering it an observation and an
Hmm.
observation that says, I see what you're doing. There may be a better way to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that is where people are more welcoming of advice and things like that. I've had to switch from giving people instructions and directions to guidance and
Hmm.
observational education. And I
Hmm.
find it's well received that way more so than saying, okay, well, if you're trying to get this done, then do this. It's being able to say, well, what have you done so far? Because it also gives you the information that you need to be able to give them context to the things that they're looking for. Because in a lot of cases, when we're giving guidance, what they're really looking for is context. They
Hmm.
already have an idea in their head of what it is that they're trying to accomplish. The context is the blind spots, is showing them the things that they may be missing that they can't see. I'm also thinking of a quote, you can't see the picture from within the frame.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you're that close to it, there are just naturally going to be things that you miss. This is why I love having the conversations with people. Those are situations that remind me that I need to be able to see it from another perspective. Just hearing someone else talk about it. Sometimes just saying it out loud is
Yeah.
enough for you to be able to go, you know what? I know I was thinking it, but now that I've heard it out loud, now I realize how it sounds to everybody else. And yeah, I won't be saying it that way anymore.
Yeah.
So there's just so many ways that you can benefit from having conversations with people. And being in that isolation, I love quotes and I love sayings. They say there's you can gain a lot of things in solitude, but you can't gain character. And
Right.
character is what people actually are investing in. They're investing in you, not just a solution that you're bringing to market. So
Yeah.
it's not just from the consumer side or the business side, it's from the people side. And it's just don't forget that we're all individuals, but we all have things in common. And if we can bond on the things that we have in common, if we can walk people through those things, then we can have some better conversations. I love that about you because that's every single conversation we've ever had. I'll keep saying it. I'm thankful for it because I know what the other version of it looks like. And
Yeah.
so the breath of fresh air is always welcome. Okay, so let's talk about strategic partnerships
Hmm.
because you touched on it a bit. It's not just about going to networking events and collecting business cards or the people that say they want to be able to partner, but what they're really looking to do is to kind of pick your pocket for your audience, but they're not actually looking to bring anything to the table. There's a difference between people that are looking to grow together, and then there's the difference between the people that are looking for opportunities and ways to leverage other people's audience and their work without necessarily bringing anything back. What do you look at when you're starting to decide on strategic partnerships or people to bring in within your circle?
Yeah, for me, it's alignment in character first. It's an alignment in character. Then, does what I do complement what they do? You know? And if it's not complementary, are the audiences that we have are not, they could be at different levels, but if, one's way in left field and one's in right field, like, why?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah.
Those are the things that I look at. It's not necessarily what I can get. Like, for me, I wanna make an impact, and I don't care where the impact happens, as long as I can make the impact. I know I can make impact one-to-one, but can I make an impact to more people at the same time? That's
Mhm.
what I'm looking for. And so, for me, collaboration is not necessarily about money for me. It's mostly about impact. Because when you impact somebody's life, eventually the money will follow, typically. But that's not my initial intent. It's not the money. So if I find somebody who they just want to grab, like, oh, Michelle's already, oh, she's an accountant. She knows all the business owners, and I can be in her. No, sister.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I do have discernment about that. But if they wanna make an impact, like, if you have something of value to deliver, absolutely. I will send out emails on your behalf. I will do that. I will stand up on your behalf. But for me, it's just not about either the numbers or the money. It's more about impact. And I know it's a long game, but I've been playing this long game for a long time. So
How about that?
it kinda works
You
because
you
what's gonna happen is I'm gonna still be here 15 years from now,
Mhm.
and somebody else might not be, right? Because 'Cause I'm
Yeah,
not gonna give up.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
tell
no,
people this all the time. I'm gonna be here. Whether you work with me today or 10 years from now, I'm going to be here.
every bit
Yeah,
of that,
yeah.
every bit of that. I love that you started with the character assessment likewise, because, it's one of the reasons why I'm not on the corporate side. I spend enough time in rooms with people where it's like the money is good,
Mhm.
but oh boy, your character.
Yeah.
Like when I know who you're actually about, that's the part that's distasteful to me. And I don't want to spend time around that. The cost of it is in the long run going to be more than anything that I could potentially gain. Character assessment is very, very important to me. I look at one of the things that I say is the trivial reveals the trajectory. So the things that you do on a small level that you think, oh, well, nobody's really going to care about that. I care about that. I'm paying attention to that because if you're doing that on that level, then it gives me a sign of what potentially could look like when there's more at stake. So yes, absolutely. And then it's value.
Mhm.
I joked with someone, I said, when I start looking at strategic partners, like all of last year for me was, okay, I'm at the point where I need to start looking beyond what I can accomplish on my own and start looking at where I can partner with people because that's where I can actually extend my reach and make a bigger difference than just what I'm able to do on my own. And it was a lesson. It was definitely a life lesson. And I discovered a lot of different types of partners. I started looking into people that were adjacent. I want to see
Mhm.
where do I start and stop? Where do you start and stop? Because if I start before where you before where you are, then I can do a natural handoff. If it's something where I come after, then you can do that handoff. And if I meet someone that isn't ready for what I need, then I know that I can actually hand them off to that person. I was joking with someone yesterday. I said, one of the things I realized is there are some people that who put the peanut butter in my chocolate and who put the chocolate in my peanut butter. It's like as soon as you start saying, well, I can do part of what you can do, and then I should be able to do this. I'm not trying to negotiate that kind of stuff. I just want to know, are you able to bring value? If you're able to bring value, I'm happy to sing your praises as long as you're doing it the right way. But the moment you start trying to encroach into what I'm doing and you're trying to pick my pocket and my brain to figure out how you can do what I'm doing so that you can add it into what you're doing, then the focus is lost. Like we're not, it's no longer about helping people. It's more about you helping yourself. And I think that's one of those red flags that when you see that sign, take note of that sign because that's where the first sign happens. And if you see it more than once, then that's the pattern that you need to watch out for before you get too far into something where you've attached yourself to that person, and then you have to figure out how you're gonna be able to make that exit.
Right. Yeah. It's almost figuring out how you're gonna dissolve it before you even start, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah, it's if you understand the exit, then you understand the path.
Yes.
I almost say it's there's so much about business, the further I get into it, the more I realize it's not start to finish, it's finish to start.
Mhm.
Like, if you understand the destination, then you start to make sense of all the things that have to happen for you to be able to get there. And that's where you can start to say, okay, well, I know I would need to partner with this person, but if things don't work out, how do I exit from that gracefully without it being this or without it being that? And it seems pessimistic, but in a way, it's more optimistic because you're already assuming that things are going to work out. You're just trying to protect against the things that may not.
Right. Right. And let me tell you, John, I have been burned. I learned my best lessons from the things that didn't go well.
Yes, those are the ones you only need to learn once.
You only need to learn them once, and when I find a hole, I fill it. When I find a hole, I fill it. So
Yeah.
I learned from those things, and I don't do them again. I
Hmm.
talk to other people about, "Hey, I see you're going down this path. Let me tell you, just make sure you have your exit strategy in place. Or are you okay with losing X amount of money? And if you are, that's fine for the
Hmm.
experience. But, that person has to decide that. But I have learned those lessons the hard way.
Yeah. I think the most memorable ones are the ones that you learn the hard way. There aren't just the people that are looking to get over, they're the people that are competing. And I don't even know if it's conscious. It's one of those things where it's not that they don't want you to succeed. They just don't want you to succeed faster than them or faster within their
Exactly.
comfort zone.
Yes.
And that is its own form of it's a sense of sabotage
It
because it's for me, they're the most dangerous ones because they may not even be aware that they're doing it, but like you'll see the little signs of it. And that's when I don't even want to call it gaslighting because I'll see it and I'll say something. They're like, no, that's not what it is. And it's like, okay. I've learned that I don't mention it the first time. I may not even mention it the second time, but once we get up to round 3 or 4, when I bring it up and you're like, "No, that's not what it is." "Well, what about this time, and this time?"
Mhm.
Like, we're gonna call all of those coincidences,
Right.
so, yeah, there are some people that, unfortunately, it's not that they don't want you to succeed, they just don't want you to succeed at a pace that they can't keep up with, because in some cases, they may love what you're doing and wanna be able to
Mhm.
partner with you and do all the rest of that, it's just if you move at the pace that you're moving at, then they could be left behind. So I think that's where discernment comes in and situational awareness comes in. I don't hold anything against them. I just know that that's someone that I'm going to have to check back with. And it's not I plan on leaving you behind and I just don't want to mess with you at all. It's just in order for me to get where I'm going, I have to move at a certain pace. And if you're not trying to keep up that pace, in some cases, I need to get where I'm going so then I can actually reach back. And that goes
Exactly.
back to that hand up.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I tell people all the time, especially I don't know if I told you this because you were when I first met you working with new entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Still am.
And
Yeah.
a lot of times, and I had a coach tell me this, Michelle, I know you really want to help those newbies. They can't help you make payroll though.
Nope.
Reality, right?
Nope.
They they can't help they can't pay you enough to help you make payroll. So what you have to do is put your own oxygen mask on first.
Yes.
You got to go make the money so that your business can function. You can be paid, your employees can be paid, you can take care of your bills. And then you go back and give the hand up. But until your oxygen mask is on solid, you can't go back and give the hand up. 'Cause I can't like, there's just not enough there, even though my heart is there. So then I decide to partner with organizations who that's their primary
Mhm.
constituent, and then I can go in, make an impact on all the people one time,
Yes.
one time,
Yes.
and make that impact. And they come like, I see these people all the time. "Michelle, thank you so much. The thing you said, da 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 da, X, Y, and Z." Like, I made the impact, and that's what's most important for me.
And it can be years later.
And it could be years later. Yeah, absolutely. So, as a business owner, put your own oxygen mask on first. Make sure you're solid first. Then you might be able, while you're building that, right? Partner
Mhm.
with organizations that help the people that you really wanna help, but you just don't have time to help. And then get them in a group, make the impact one time, and then those words will trickle down for years because they made the impact.
Yes, yes. You were telling my story. You were telling my story. Yes, I still work with the early stage entrepreneurs, but every time I unpack what it is that I do, it always leads back to you need to be working with people out at the growth and scale stage because
Mhm.
that's where your expertise is.
Yes.
Because at that point, they realize that they're not trying to be the hero in the story. They just want to bring the person in that knows how to do the things that they know that
Yes.
they're not good at or they know that they can't do.
Yes.
And that's where you can turn something from it being something that takes months or years to be able to accomplish to someone that's willingly saying, "Here, take this
Yeah.
off of my hands and make sure that I'm able to get the results that I'm looking for." And if you're searching out those aha moments and you're result driven and you're solution orientated, that's where a lot of those rewards come in. I love working with early stage businesses. I love being able to give that hand up, but the journey of getting them from point A to Z is so difficult at times that
So difficult.
you can't it doesn't actually help your business. And
Yes.
it's a sad fact to be able to say that because it took me going back to like that conversation where I'm saying like, "Oh," I said, "Yeah, I'm at 3 years. Yeah, I'm at 5 years." And you're like, I remember that."
Mhm,
Those
mm,
were those milestone moments where I had to
yeah.
realize, you know what? I didn't like it when they said it on the corporate side because I used to say, "Oh, I'm in advertising and marketing." They said, "Oh, I wish there was someone that could help small businesses." And then, the first few years, it was realizing that a lot of those people that said those things are the same people that I went back to and said, "All right, well, now I'm out here and I'm able to help you." "Yeah, well, let me get back to you." Or, "Oh, I'm not ready yet." And, "Oh, this and oh, that." And I'm like, that check was nice. And I gave
Exactly.
that up to come help. And now you're telling me that you're not ready. So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
readiness is one of those things that really matters. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've worked with the SBDC. I've done things where they have
Mhm,
the sessions, you can do webinars, you can do a lot of things. Do it when you
mhm.
can do it in scale,
Yep.
but you have to be able to keep the lights on. And if you're not putting your mask on securely,
Mhm.
then you're not putting yourself in a position to be able to win. One of the things that I remind myself, because I've always been this person that wants to be able to help. And sometimes me trying to help other people ends up bringing us both down because I'll try to help them. And it's like a drowning person.
Yeah.
You could stay on land and throw them a life preserver or something so that they can float, and then you can go get someone that's actually trained to do that, or you can jump in and try to save them, and then both of you end up
And
going
both of
down.
you
So,
drown.
yeah, I've learned, let me go find you a lifeguard. Let me go find a
Yeah.
person that can do that specific thing that you need, but if it's not something that I can actually help with in that moment, then yeah, because 'cause I'm moving at a pace, my mind moves at a pace where it's difficult, and I realize more so these days lately, it's I have to remove the thing that's blocking them from being able to see the forest for the trees first. And sometimes you can't have their credibility where they want to listen to you because they're basing it on how much money you made. And I'm going, well, if I did what I'm supposed to be doing, then yeah, I would be making nothing but money because I'd be working with the people ready to scale and grow. But
Exactly.
I'm slowing down trying to help you so that I can say, well, not every company or not every business starts as a big business. Let me help you get there. And they're
Mhm.
like, "Well, I don't know if I should be listening to you because, that person made this much money." And it's like, so that is
You're not
definitely a
ready.
lesson.
Yeah. You're not ready.
That is definitely a lesson because my father told me, like, you can learn from everybody. So someone that's 2 steps ahead of me is someone that's probably more relevant to me than someone that's 20 steps ahead of me,
Mhm.
because you recently just went through it. So you have a keen sense of what the struggle, the pressure, and everything else is than someone that is so far removed from it that they're basing it on memory. And I'm basing it off of, yeah, that was last year, 2 years, 3 years ago. I know what that feels like. So it's an interesting conversation to be able to have. I realize sometimes when I'm in the middle of it that I'll say, yeah, I'm having a conversation and you're not there yet. And I can tell you what it looks like, but it's not going to mean anything to you until you get there. And then it'll be relevant. So I would rather tell them about the things that are relevant for them where they're at right then. And I think that's one of the beautiful parts of where we're at right now with AI, because AI can take care of a lot of that.
Yes.
All of the DIY courses and things like that. AI is now kind of digging into it with that. Going back to it being coachable,
Mhm,
people now that are seeking out someone that can give them the guidance,
mhm,
that's that step beyond going to AI to ask some of those questions. They've realized they've gone through that, is giving them the broad strokes, the
mhm.
best practices, the things where it's
Yes,
just like everybody's doing this version. And then you get to the point where you realize, I should need to figure out how to do it for myself. Like all of those things are good, but how do I
exactly.
customize it to me?
Yes.
And I think that's where guidance starts to kick in. And that's the done with you that I think we've evolved into. It's great for me because, well, I won't even say for me, for you as well, because we both love the aha moments. We
Mhm,
love being able to see something click for someone, but it allows them to be able to step in or ask for that guidance once they've covered the initial parts. And that's when they realize they actually need help. So they're not listening
mhm.
for validation. They're listening for actual someone that can provide that context. Okay. Well, let's talk about this. How to develop the ability to assess your own context and your own situation. One of the things that stands out to me is situational awareness. You touched on it with what you just covered, because my situational awareness was realizing, okay, as much as you want to be able to help early stage and new businesses, you're not really going to be able to do that unless you have some of the larger businesses that help finance your ability to be able to make those passion projects work. So that was situational awareness for me to be able to say, yeah, I mean, I can't, it would take me 15 of them to be able to cover one that could pay me and allow me to be able to do the things that I need to be able to do.
Mhm.
When it comes to situational awareness and being able to step outside of ourselves long enough to be able to look at what it is that's driving us, like I'll say professional decisions affect our personal and our personal affect our professional. Sometimes people don't know that the other things that they have going on are influencing the decisions and things that they're making and that sense of urgency. So I know you have to see it on the financial side, because that's one of the main drivers for people doing a lot of the things that they're doing. One, how does that work for you? Because I know what it looks like for me, and it's painful to watch. And then there's also, how do you convey that to them so that they can understand what it is that they're doing and the potential consequences of it?
Yeah. Because I'm in the financial space
Mhm.
and I always say people have money stories. And your money story in my space impacts your business. Like your personal money story impacts your business. I see this all the time. And a lot of times people are not aware that their personal life is impacting their business. And we have to kindly say, hey, you spending too much money, you pulling too much money out the business. The business not going to be able to pay its bills when, you know, oh, I used the wrong car. I did this, I did that, and making them aware
Mm.
is the first step. But then how do you get the behavior change? And the behavior change actually comes through accountability.
Yes, it
You
does.
got to have the accountability to make the behavior change because your personal life is going to guide what you're doing, whether you need to make more money or less money, whether you have more time to work in the business or less time to work in the business. Your personal life is dictating that. Your family life is dictating that. If you have to be called away from your business operations to deal with personal issues,
Mhm.
family issues, your personal life is dictating that,
Yes, it is.
whether it's financial or time, right? Because those are the two commodities that we have. And time we cannot get back.
No, no.
Cannot get back. So I see it all the time. And for me and our team, we make you aware through, what we see on the back end after
Excuse me.
everything's done, what we see. Awareness along with accountability, calling out the thing and having that person buy into the accountability of it, that's a whole nother thing because it you have to have a behavior shift in order to make the change. And sometimes it takes longer than other times. Some people it takes longer than with, other people. It just depends. So, as someone who helps guide people, I guide them. I guide them. I push or put pressure on to see if the behavior changes. If it doesn't, like, ultimately, this is your business. I can't make you do anything.
Yeah.
But if the result that you want is a real result that you want, then you will do the things to make the behavior change. But I can't make them do it. I can't make them
Whew.
reach the goal.
No.
But let me tell you, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I speak in plain English, but ultimately
You
it's up
do.
to you. I mean,
You do.
you
I
have
mean,
to
but
say.
that's the beauty of accountability.
Mhm,
It's I can lay it all out for you, and that it goes back to me saying like, listen, finish the start. You're
mhm,
telling me this is where you want to be able to go, and we're saying this is where you're at. Let me tell you all the things that happen in between.
yeah,
What you prioritize in that is going to be completely up to you. I want it for you. I would love to see you have it,
mhm,
but I am not going to be responsible for whether or not you're achieving it. All I can do is point these things out, and then it's up to you as to how you prioritize that in your life and what you
yeah,
based on what all the other things that you have going on. So it's why I believe in milestones and checkpoints. It's why instead of just saying, "Well, this is the finish line," it's let's put some checkpoints in there.
mhm,
Let's put some things in place that allow you to be able to see the progress that you're making. I know myself, I don't stop at victories for long
mhm,
because I move at such a pace where it's not good. It's probably not healthy if I'm being honest, but it is one of those things where once I achieve the first thing, then it's like, all right, I need to move on to the next, then I need to move on to the next because I am very much eye on the prize when it comes to that finish line. But for me, I know that's how I am. So I have to stop myself at certain times to be able to go, you may not feel like you're accomplishing everything that you need to, but let's
mhm,
look at where you were so that you can actually
mhm,
see the progress and things that you're making. So because of that, I baked that in with some other people because when you start off doing something because you're motivated,
mhm.
motivation comes and goes.
Absolutely.
As soon as
Absolutely.
life happens, motivation
Mhm.
it goes right out the window. So you have
Right
to
off
be
the
able
door.
to have the progress to show you,
Yes.
let me find ways to remotivate you, but really it's let me show you reasons why consequences matter more than motivation.
Mhm.
And that's where the honesty kicks in because if
Yeah.
you understand the consequences of your actions, then it makes you more accountable because there are the people that say better to apologize and ask permission. But then there's also the people that say, well, if I knew what it was going to cost me, then I would have never. And
Mhm,
that's where I'm comfortable being able to say, well, let me tell you what this is going to cost you. This is the
mhm.
benefit and here's the cost.
Yeah.
Now you tell me which one matters most to you because I can't decide that part for you. And that's
Exactly.
where they have to do those gut check questions, and that I find cuts through the noise. Like, you can show them both sides and just say, "Here's the benefits of if you do this. Here's the consequences if you don't." And then there's still the people that, they think that no decision is not a decision when it is a decision. So,
It is a decision.
you're
Yeah,
basically saying no if you know that something's gonna cost you something,
exactly.
and there's a on LinkedIn and Facebook, I tend to post these little cartoons because I'll see these little memes and things and I find them hilarious. And there's a picture of a guy that gets to a bridge that's all torn up and he said, has a sign that says, "This is the bridge you said you crossed when you got to it." And I saw that and it just cracked me up to go, "Oh, there's so many people,
But bring it back into it, right?
so many people, myself included." So, like, whenever I'm saying something to someone, it's listen, somewhere along the lines, I had to learn that lesson myself. That's why
Yeah,
it's funny to me because I'm able to laugh because those are learning moments. And if you learn, then you can laugh about it. If you don't learn, then it's going to be triggering and you will have to continue to go through it until you actually do something about it. So I'm a firm believer in show someone the benefits, show someone the consequences, and let them decide because I can't choose the priority for you. I can only give you the information.
right. And for your audience, when you have these like big things you want to do,
Mm.
And, like you said, you hit one milestone, you don't stop there for long to, you go on to the next. But when you create a goal for yourself, if you anchor it in your why, if you anchor that in your why, it doesn't matter what happens in life. Your why is the anchor. And no matter what, you're going to hit the goal because it's anchored in something. It's anchored.
Absolutely.
So the winds may flow, the snow may come, the flood may come. It don't matter. You're anchored,
Mhm.
which means you're not moving, right? You're not moving off that goal until you reach it.
Yeah, no,
And that's
that
the
matters.
tenacity that you have to have when you are a business owner. It's the tenacity of it. But when it's anchored in why am I doing this in the first place?
Mm,
When I can help my client figure that out, then the behavior change
yes,
begins to happen.
yes.
Because I can't force them to change the behavior. So I always go back to their why. I always try to get their why when I'm talking. Why do you want to do this? Why? Because it ain't easy out here. Why are you doing this? When I figure that out, and then I bring that back, okay, this is what you told me.
Mhm.
Is this still true?
Mm,
So then they're more easily able to make a behavior change that will hold to the accountability that I'm giving them, that will get them the result that they desire.
absolutely. I mean, one, clipping that because that's something I just want people to truly understand. Yeah, the why is more important than the how.
Yes, it
And
is.
it's especially
Absolutely.
that when I'm talking to early stage businesses, because the why is what's going to get you through weathering the storm of all the things that you're going to have to get through. And if you remember what your why is,
Mhm.
that's the thing that you repeat back to yourself. That's your mantra. That's what gets you through every single one of those moments where you start to doubt yourself. But
Yep.
the how is I can tell where someone is based on the little things that they do. Again, the trivial reveals the trajectory. If someone's asked me a bunch of hows,
Mhm.
but when I ask them the why, they
Yeah.
can't even touch on the why, then it's like, okay, you're not ready. You're too busy trying to figure out how you can speed up rather than
Mhm.
to take time to figure out where you're actually at.
Mhm.
And that
Why do
goes
you
back to
wanna
that
speed up?
situational
Like, that's all
awareness.
you gotta ask. Why are you trying to go so fast? Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, when you peel back those layers, like we talked about,
Those
when
onions.
you
Yeah.
peel back the layers of the onion and you get to the core, that's why you're doing this.
Hmm.
But it's up to us to ask the questions so that they can reveal that to themselves
Yes.
because
Yes.
they may not even know.
That is what makes you a great coach. That right there is what makes you a great coach because there are people that will again, it's the difference between people going through the motions and people helping people get to the core of something. Because once you can name it, once you can identify it,
Yes.
I stand by once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Mhm.
And then everything else that comes from it is a conscious choice of you're saying, I know what my why is, but and if that but it means enough to you, then okay, so you understand what you stand to win and what you stand to lose. And that is something that makes it a lot easier for people to be able to come back to. But yeah, the how is not nearly as relevant as the why because the how is just that's going to change. That's going to evolve as time goes on. Like, before how you would go about doing something would be different. Now we have AI. So now you may
Yeah,
use AI.
exactly.
Like life finds ways to make things more convenient for you to be able to do it. But why you're doing it, that is so internal and so up to you.
Yep,
But someone that is savvy enough, wise enough, experienced enough, someone Michelle enough to be able to get someone to the point where they're able to ask the questions to help you get to that core. I mean, that's the irreplaceable part because those are the things that help you get through the moments where there's nobody else in the room or no one else in your head. And you have to have that conversation with yourself. Those questions get you there.
they will.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't even want to touch that. I'm just going to leave that right where it is. Let's talk about one thing because we've talked about a lot of different things. We've talked about accountability, we've talked about awareness, we've talked about discernment and understanding. overall, what we're talking about is the situation awareness, understanding where you're at. Your why is going to dictate a lot of things, but so is so are the things that are going on around you. If you don't take that into consideration, like you said, someone can be doing something and you're like, well, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And when you get to the core of it, it's because something personal is happening in their personal life and they've allowed it to leak over into their professional life. And if you don't ask the right questions, then they will never get to the point of saying, well, I'm making this choice because my partner got laid off, or I'm making this choice because I need to be able to do this because my baby asked for a toy and I couldn't get it for him.
Mhm.
The why can be a lot of different things and it can change over time, but it's when you know that, then you can always tap into that and that will motivate you even on the days when you don't feel motivated. So let's talk about one thing, which is never really one thing, but let's talk about being practical. Someone's listening to this and they're saying, okay, there's accountability, there's awareness, there's all these things. Where do I start in that? I
Mm.
think you've answered the question with the why.
Mhm.
But how does someone get to the why if they don't have someone like you to be able to ask the questions to help them get there?
Yeah, how do you get to the why when you don't have someone asking you questions? I think we're gonna go back to the first episode when I talked about reflections. If you are not sitting down at the end of the week, the end of the month, the
Mm,
end of the year, and looking back on what has happened and why it happened, there's your problem. It's the reflection piece. The reflection piece to me allows you to see what's working and what's not working in a timely fashion. And then ask your own self questions about why you got the result that you got, right?
mhm,
So, whether your day went well, your week went well, or not well, there's reasons why. So, I think self reflection is one of the tools that a lot of business owners don't use that they should be using because it's so quick. Like at the end of your day, you can ask yourself 3 questions. One,
mm,
what went well today? Two, what was my bottleneck today? And three, what am I looking forward to tomorrow? You can do that on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis. And when you compile all that, you have data. You have data to work with. When you go back and read it in a month, in 2 months, like, oh my God, I was stuck.
mm.
This was my bottleneck. How long was that my bottleneck? What did I do to resolve the bottleneck? Why don't I look forward to tomorrow? I don't know. I'm writing in my journal every day. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. Why not? You need to know what you're doing tomorrow. It's self reflection. And if we begin to just look, just ask yourself those 3 questions every day. And then over the course of days and weeks, go back and read them. Read what you wrote because it could be 3 sentences and it can get you to the place where, I just discovered something about myself.
Yeah, yeah.
And do I want, and you have to ask your own self this question. Do I want to be a better business owner or not? Because otherwise, go back to being an employee and you're not running a nonprofit unless you are, right?
I try not to interrupt or even follow up on sage wisdom that should not be touched. Not even going to touch that. I'm just going to say, let me ask a different question. If someone has absorbed everything that we've talked about
Hmm.
through this whole series, the timing traps, the pattern recognition, the mindset shifts, learning from others, building community. When we're talking about shifts,
Hmm.
what's one of the highest leverage shifts that someone can make right now? I mean, there's for me, so many different things depends on timing
Hmm.
because you can give someone great advice. And one of the things I realized is I've had conversations with people that have dropped all kind of knowledge on me, and it's not that it didn't mean anything to me, but there was only but so much that I could do with it right in that moment. But when the opportunity presented itself, that's why I was able to tap back into it. That's why I think reflection is so important because it shows you where you were, it shows you where you're going, it shows you where you're at. And again, you have to start thinking through, okay, well, if it's been the same bottleneck too many different times, that means that's something that I have to be able to address. So when we're looking at the highest leverage shift that someone can make, I feel like you've answered the question, but is there one thing that maybe I don't want to think for you because that one is gold. Is there anything else that you would put on that list?
When you're thinking about making the shift,
Mm,
only you can do it. You are the only one. You get to decide whether you're making a shift. You get to figure out whether or not a shift needs to happen. Like you are the one. You are the one.
mm,
So are you going to take that responsibility?
mm. I know I'm the host and I'm supposed to be saying something, but when it resonates, it resonates. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, that's the accountability. That
Mhm.
goes back to, it's if you don't do it, who else is gonna do it?
Yeah. It's nobody else's problem but yours. You get to decide and not blame anybody else. It's your decision. So you get to decide whether or not a shift needs to happen. You are the shift. You figuring out to connect with somebody to help you make the shift. That is your decision. Only you can own it. Nobody else can.
Yeah. You reminded me of something my brother told me when I was late teens, maybe going into my 20s. And his thing is the only people that care about whether or not you're upset are the people that care about you. And then when you isolate that down even more, other people can't care more about what your
Mm-mm.
situation is than you can.
Yeah.
They can want it for you as much as they want, but at the end of the day, if you don't want it more than everybody else wants it for you, then do you really deserve to have it? Should you have it? Because if you hit it, then, you could turn around and lose it because you weren't doing what you were supposed to be able to do with it. So, yeah, it starts and stops with so many different people recognizing that part.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, here's my last question. I think one of the most important things that I want people to be able to get from this is what do you want people to feel about their potential right now? Because I think there's a lot of people out here that feel powerless in this economy, in this job market, in their current situation, relationships. We're talking about things that from the entrepreneurial side, but the reality is it's universal. There's just so many things going on right now, and the normal isn't the normal. And we're going into a new normal. So, as much as there are people feeling like there are things happening to them and they have no control, what's the mindset shift that you want them to walk away from this conversation with?
Yeah. So the mindset shift I want you to walk away from this conversation is there are things that are in your control and there are things that are outside of your control. The things that you can control them. The things that you cannot control, let them sit on the outside and do you, boo. Yeah,
I'm laughing, but it's so serious.
it's true.
It is. It's why I'm laughing to go, you know what? When someone's stating facts, it's either going to tickle you because you know it's true or it's going to hurt your feelings. And
Yeah,
I'm laughing because it's like, I know how many times I had to learn that lesson and I know which ones I'm not trying to learn again. So yeah, yeah.
I know the world right now is scary. It
Mm,
is. It is very scary. But it's also been scary in the past
yes.
and we made it through. So I just want to give you some hope. Like I'm always the glass is half full, not half
Mm,
empty. And where I can bring joy into my life, I'm gonna
mm,
bring joy into my life. If that's blocking everything else out, ain't nothing else happening in the world around me, but in my four corners, that's all I'm gonna focus on.
yes. Yes. Yeah.
So yes, the world is scary, but there are things that you and only you can control,
Hmm. Yeah.
and you should.
Because if you don't, who will?
Because if you don't, who will? If there are people in your life that are causing you angst, stop talking to them. I'm sorry. You get to decide who you are around. You get to decide what environment you want to be in. Even if you
Absolutely.
feel like you don't have control, find the space where you do have some control
Hmm.
and control it. You get to decide that. You have that freedom. Unless you're locked up, you have that freedom, right?
You do. You do. You do. I'm just reflecting as you're talking because I know one of my best friends, he said, you act like you're allergic to people. I was like, no, I'm allergic to their problems
Mhm.
because they want to make their problems my problems and my
Yeah.
problems, I got my own problems.
You have your own problems. I don't need nobody else's problems.
I have no idea what you're dealing with. I have no like I talked to someone today. They were like, if that happened to me, I'd be so upset. And I was like, listen, I'm 6'8", hands the size of people's heads. I don't get the opportunity to be upset. Like if I get upset, then it's like I threatened somebody even when I
Right.
wasn't threatening them. So I don't get to be the angry black man. I've just learned to be able to go, you know what? I have no idea what's going on in your life. So maybe whatever you have going on is what's making you feel like you need to be doing that to me. And the best thing that I can do is excuse myself from those situations. Cause once I do that, then I can control the things that are within my control.
Yes.
If it's an unpleasant situation, I'm going to remove myself. If it's something where I enjoy that conversation or whatever it is, then I'm going to find more ways to be able to have those conversations like this series.
Yes.
So I'm going to bring it back around and say by the end of this episode, you'll understand how to learn from other people's experiences without making every costly mistake yourself. Know how to surround yourself with during know how to know who to surround yourself with during these transitions and have clear next steps for your specific situation, whether you're being forced into change, considering it, or already are in the middle of it. I can't think of anyone that would have been better to ask these questions of. Just sage wisdom, things that I know that I'm going to be going back and listening to, things that I know that I want to be able to take advantage of. It just you're too young to be my nana, but, like, you're reminding me of having conversations with my grandmother where she would say something, I'm like, "Even if I don't use it right now, I know it's gonna last me the rest of my life," and
Right.
it's just those things, so thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really hope that people don't just listen to it now, listen to it when you need it, because we are in a stage where there's hope is something that is it's scarce, and it's
Mhm.
a scary time for a lot of people, and there's a lot of people trying to figure things out. I'm trying very much to remind people that the scarcity mindset creates scarcity.
It does.
And if you realize that your cup is always running over as long as you're managing your energy and the space around you, then you're always going to have. And for the times that you don't, there are people willing to fill your cup. It's just, like you said, you have to have an open hand and an open mind in order to be able to take in that information.
Mhm. Well said.
Okay. Well, I don't wanna touch any of the information that you gave. It's beyond my depth. I know when I can give some sage advice, but when I'm outclassed, I just tip my hat and say thank you so much. To everyone, I'm gonna break this down into mini episodes so that you can gather some of this information and it'll be easier for you to find when you need it. And to you, Michelle, I'm gonna say thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. I know how much it's meant to me, and I can't wait to hear back about all the people that it's been able to affect. Because you know how it goes. People hear it in a moment, but when the opportunity comes up for them to apply it, it can be years later, and you'll have somebody come up, "I remember you said" this is one of those moments, and I'm thankful for it, and I'm thankful for you. Like, share, and subscribe. I will continue to try to find people that can come in and share this kind of information because we all need it and we all need that kind of encouragement. And we need lights like Michelle. So thank you again. And I will end this here to be mindful of your time. But yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome.